挽回発火の咎め
Yo, 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 yo. What is up, y'all? Welcome back to the
Yeah.
podcast. You're. Oh, shoot. It's been a minute. It's been a minute. It's always been a minute, you know. But we back. So,
Barely.
I mean, look, dude. Facts. You're right. But it's what it is, man. It's being an adult. Yeah, it's rough. It's rough out here. But hey, we trying, right?
C'est la vie. That's life.
hmm Um, one of the interesting things about life is about how different people deal with different things. And there's this something I came across recently, where this lady on Instagram was talking about, what's the most toxic expectation that women have of men. And I saw that caption and I was like, oh boy, this can't be good. And then she proceeds to talk about something that I didn't really even think about really like that. But there are some points of it that I personally agree with, but then also some points that I disagree with. And same with House. So
Yep.
I wanted to play that snippet really quick, just for y'all to hear, and then we're gonna kind of, dissect it, if you will. So yeah, here we go.
The most
Here we
toxic
go.
expectation women have of men, expecting him to relate to feelings the way a woman does. Men have a completely different relationship to feelings than women. They don't trust feelings. They trust facts. It's not how men operate. For a man, it's more about what he values, what he stands for, what facts he trusts. So instead of asking a man how he feels about something, ask him what he thinks. You can learn a lot more about a man if you ask what he thinks rather than what he feels, because he can relate to that word, thinks. Most
So yeah, that's a snippet there. So she says a lot of things, but basically, yeah, her thing is that, like, people, or sorry, men rather, don't relate to feelings the same way that women do, and so asking them what they feel is not as effective as asking them what they think, because they go based on facts and tangible things, than feelings, if you will, or emotions, I should say, as well. So yeah, like that's an interesting like segment, or whatever you want to call it, that I've seen recently, and I don't know. I agree with it to a certain degree, but I don't think it's the same for every person. What do you think, Hasaba?
Well, let's just break it down, right? She's saying that women have these toxic expectations for men to want them to understand emotions and feelings, but
Mm-hmm.
what she's saying is that men rely on facts about the real world, right? Rather than their feelings and emotions.
Mm-hmm.
But that doesn't necessarily seem correct to me, because when guys, or at least myself, we of course want to understand the facts, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
that's what makes sense to us. But our
Right.
feelings are something, a part of our daily experience, right?
Yeah. Yeah, of
Without
course.
our emotions, we can't really judge
Yeah.
whether the fact is real or not, right? Or what
Absolutely.
we're like doing or experiencing in the real world.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can see where you're coming from, with that for sure. I think I don't think it's fair to say all men only go based on facts. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I don't think that that's fair. I think because there's like the whole alpha versus beta male thing, or whatever I saw recently, and like, I guess, like, the concept of an alpha male is to always, be like a strong man and provide and this and that, and don't
Be the
cry and be a
typical
man.
nuclear family man, essentially.
Exactly, right? And and that's like the stigma of like an alpha male, if you will, versus a beta male that is more in tune with their feelings and a little more sensitive, if you will, or or more cautious, or doesn't have to be the provider necessarily, and is willing to do other things that a woman would normally do, right? Now, one thing that my lady has talked to me about is gender roles. Now, if you had told me 5 years ago this gender roles thing and that, I would have said, nah, get me out that. Like, just get that out my face. But I've learned a lot in the past few years, especially with being with her for the past year, almost a half. And what I've learned is that it's not so cut and dry, and it shouldn't be.
It's not black and white. It shouldn't
be. It's not. It really shouldn't be, because in that same vein, if it's like a man should always be the provider and always do this and always do that, and the woman should always be a stay-at-home mom and always do this and that, man, we would never have people like, I don't know, freaking Michelle Obama, or like, these Violetta Davis, or all these, really, really high profile women that are huge in society. You know what I mean? In whatever their role is, or their regard. You know what I mean? So I don't think it's fair to, live specifically within the gender roles, if you will. I think that you should be able to do whatever you want based on the situation, right? If I'm the provider in that moment, it shouldn't be because I'm a male. It should be because that's what I'm doing to provide for my family. Yeah, in the past, is for the most part been the male, but I think we're seeing that shift now in society where it's like, okay, it can be the female too, and then there can be stay-at-home dads, or they can be, or there can be both of them that take home, a good portion of money and put it both towards, like for food on the table or whatever, bills and stuff like that, right? So I definitely agree with, with what you're saying. It's like, it's not black and white. It's not cut and dry. It's there's more to it. There's a lot more gray than we would like to give it credit for, especially as like alpha males or whatever you want to call it. So,
well, that's also the thing, is that society is what contributes to this narration of men having to be alpha or beta, and vice versa for women as well, right? Because everything in society, to the entertainment, to the social media that we fucking digest every day, it goes into how it shapes men and women, right?
Yep.
Like, just look at fucking, I don't want to even bring up this guy, but Andrew Tate. He's literally like the typical alpha male.
Yeah.
Or at least he thinks he is,
Yeah.
And then he puts down other men for, not being the same way as him.
Yep.
But like, there's a strength in wanting to use your emotions, right? Rather than just facts, because facts, is always going to be truth to the fact, but like, your emotions is what motivates other
guides
people, family. Yeah, exactly. Guides you.
Yeah, I think I know exactly what you mean. Like, facts are like, hard truths or whatever you want to call it. There's, they're solid rocks, and that's it. There's really nothing else about them. But feelings can, feelings are more like valleys, right? And peaks. They can go up and down. They can change, and they're not stagnant. They're not complacent. They're dynamic, right? Facts are static, and feelings are dynamic. That's the way, like, I would look at it. But I will say though, so I said earlier, that I agree and also disagree at the same time with what this lady was saying about the whole, men don't relate to feelings the same way and stuff like that. And I talked about why I disagree, but the one thing that I do agree with though, is like, for me personally, right, on my personal level, I don't react to feelings the same way as, for example, my lady does. And I know for a fact I don't, right? Is that my upbringing? Sure. Is it me being a male versus a woman? Sure. Maybe. But whatever the case may be, that is true for me, right? So what I mean by that is this, right? So say, for example, you know, my lady and I, we get into a little spat, which happens in a relationship. It's very common and it's actually healthy, provided it's not like a toxic thing, right? If we get into a thing or whatever, sometimes she'll, she'll either, break down or she'll start crying or whatever, right? If something happens on her side, right? Versus if something happens on my side that makes me upset, I don't do that. I don't cry. I don't break down. I don't whatever. I literally just stop talking and I go to my room and I just throw on a game or a show or something. That's how I deal with my feelings, because personally, I don't react the same way. I don't, feel the need like mentally to like cry or whatever or relief. That's not how I release my stress, right? I release my stress differently than my lady. Now, as for why, who knows, right? But I will say that with my upbringing,
the why of it is that it's because we've been ingrained as kids growing up in a Western society, right? We're influenced by the environment we were raised in. And the environment we were raised in was based off of, the nuclear family man, that we have to push down our feelings, right?
Yep.
And be there for the woman.
Yeah. And always
but
be
that
wrong.
in itself is also a toxic thing for men.
Yeah.
It makes us not process our emotions and feelings in that moment.
Yeah.
Right? And it's just going to keep building up and then just blow up on us when we least expect
That's facts.
it. Right?
That's so
if
true.
you don't deal with your emotions properly, it's going to come back and hurt you.
Yeah. Yeah. Fully agree. And that was something that I didn't really think about like that until, Girly and I started talking about it, when she was like, okay, look, the way you were grown or the way you were raised, although a lot of good traits, has a lot of good traits, also has a lot of bad traits. And she talked to me about the bad things, and that was what she talked about with me, right? What you just said, which is like, if you don't deal with your feelings, then you're not going to be able to what's it called, move on from them. You're not going to be able to process them and all that, right? And then you're going to just turn into this freaking shriveled up of a human, and just be toxic. And I don't think that's fully the case, because I'm not a toxic person. At least I try not to be. And I'm still very respectful, but what she's saying does have some merit, for sure. Because when I was growing up, that is what I was told. I was always told, be a man and, stop crying like a little girl and this and that or whatever. And, it's all in your head and da-da-da-da-da. And from a kid, you don't know that that's wrong or right. You can't discern that. You're told what your parents tell you, and for the most part you suck it up because you're a sponge as a kid, right? Kids are sponges.
Exactly.
But I think going forward, with the new generation, we need to teach them that hey, it's okay to deal with your feelings, and it's okay to feel hurt, and it's okay to let out those feelings, and it's okay to do things that quote unquote the women would do that males don't. You know what I mean? So and that's how we grow together as a society, is being able to see both sides of the picture and allow both sides to influence us, rather than just the one side of like the male spectrum. You know what I mean?
Right. There needs to be a balance.
There has to be a balance. There has to be. You can't be just on one side and acting the way you are, because you're not going to see the other you're not even going to see the other gender or sex or whatever you want to call it, the other role, right? And understand where they're coming from and be able to, deal with things together with them. You know what I mean? So it has to be a give and take. It has to be. Otherwise, you're just ignorant. So,
Fact.
But But yeah, man, that I wanted to talk about that quick because I saw that and I was like, huh, that's interesting. You know, like she's
Well, I
got some
feel like
points, but she's also kind of off on some stuff too.
the biggest problem for men
Mm,
in today's generation is that they lack the necessary self awareness
yeah,
to fully understand or comprehend their own feelings
facts.
because of the way we grew up in society. We lack
Yeah.
the resources
Mm,
unless you actually like have a degree in psychology or philosophy and have
yeah.
like the understanding of questioning things, right?
Yeah, that's exactly it. That's true.
Question everything that you do, the way you
Mm,
grew up, how your family affected you, how society affected you, how social media affects your daily life.
yep.
These
Yep.
things are important things to be aware of and question about yourself
Yep.
in order to be a better person, whatever that may
Yeah.
be for you.
Exactly. It's very true. It's very true. And I think that, as this generation grows and stuff, people are doing that more. They're not just taking things, as is anymore. They're questioning things. They're saying, okay, is this actually right? Is this correct? Is this, um, you know, should this be a societal norm or not? You know what I mean? Should this be correct or not? And it's
Exactly.
very important to do so,
Like
right?
just because something's a fact doesn't mean it's always right either,
That's
right?
exactly it. That's
Like
exactly
it's the
it.
same thing with the law. Like just because it's a law doesn't mean it makes it right.
it yeah, that's it. That's exactly
Because
it.
there's
I
no
mean, and laws have to
universal
change.
law.
Yeah,
Because in each
exactly.
country, in each religion is different.
Yep, yep. And it's based on the people and you know how the people react to certain things and deal with certain things in their lives, right? So and there's more to it obviously than that too, but yeah. So yeah, man, that's I mean, I'm seeing the comments and stuff, and people are like, "Man, don't use this as an excuse to not, be in tune with your feelings and all this and stuff." And yeah, it's an interesting comment section because there's a lot of good, like, educated comments in there about on both sides of it, right? On the women and the men side of it, um, and it's just interesting to see like how people are reacting to this because people are saying some people agree with her fully, some people disagree with her fully, some people are in the middle like me, and that's okay. Everybody has their own experiences, but also their own opinions on the matter. But I mean, I think if you can see both sides of it, then you're good.
Well, the narration that she puts out, it's
Mm,
definitely worse for men today because of how
yeah.
many women out here who
Mm,
do OF and expect men
yep.
to do
Yeah.
everything and just be like
Yep.
fucking a princess. You're like,
Yeah.
what do you
Which
contribute
I
to the
don't agree
relationship?
with. That's yeah. Not a fan of that. See what I did there?
Like, nice your beak, do some
Nice
work,
your beak. Yeah,
don't be a
facts.
booty bot.
Don't be a booty bot.
Sometimes it's
Uh,
okay to talk your homies.
I'm freaking sleep. Oh man, and that's a whole other topic that we could save for another day. The OF thing, because I know it's like ugh, I don't want to get into that today. That's a long topic, but maybe sometime in the future. But I just know some people agree with this, some people don't, and it's just one of those things where it's like I'm just gonna stay out of it because it's not affecting my life, but I do have my own personal opinions on it. But that's just it. They're just my opinions. Doesn't mean that
You heard
they're
it here
not.
first.
You know.
Bloodshot's gonna make an OF.
Yo, nice yo beak, boy. Yo, are you
Whack.
good?
Oh,
Okay. All right. See, that's it. I think that's the end of the podcast for today. Thanks for tuning in, yo. It's been fun, and yeah, if you've taken nothing away from today, it's that House of L's booty bot, and B, be in tune with your feelings, but maybe not fully, if that makes sense.
just be more self-aware, guys. Come on.
That's it. Honestly, just be more self-aware and don't be a jackass. But anyways, yeah, that's it for me. This has been your host Bloodshock with your co-host,
Also, well.
and we will catch y'all on the next one. Peace.
Later.